Today I want to talk about resetting my life. And I think a life reset is something that we all crave sometimes, but it's on one hand more difficult to achieve than we might think, and on the other hand, it's not really something we can do because we are not an electronic device. And so here's my take on it and 5 minimalist ways I think it can be achieved or that can be really helpful to get that feeling of resetting your life. Now, I think it's not really possible to reset your life. As I said before, we're human beings. Life goes on. We take our memories and what we've done and what has happened to us with us. And so I think it shouldn't be the goal to really try to have an absolute fresh start, because it's an illusion that we can leave everything behind. I still really get why you want that, and I think it's something worth pursuing in a sense that having a fresh feeling, finding new motivation, starting something new, not your entire life, or changing the way you do things your life. And there can be a drastic change, definitely. So let's look into the 5 ways I think you can achieve that. Number 1 is do something new. Now, that might sound really underwhelming because we do it sometimes and usually it doesn't change that much. Doing something new, in my opinion, doesn't have to be something big. Like, it can be trying out a new recipe. It can be going for a walk where you've never gone for a walk, like in an area. Just something that feels like it's outside of your daily routine. It's outside of what makes you feel stuck. Like there's a need for change and for resetting your life. We usually do not think ourselves into a new way of living. We usually live ourselves into a new way of thinking. Now, that's something I heard in a very great YouTube video 2 years ago, and I think it's absolutely true. So sometimes we're stuck thinking and stuck doing the same things, but instead of like just thinking about how to change, thinking that we need to be mentally stronger and not get distracted and follow the path that we decided on 5 years ago or whatever, I think sometimes it's a great idea to just do something new, have a different perspective, and through that different perspective, through feeling different because you're doing something you haven't done before, it might open up a lot of things that we couldn't achieve, that we couldn't see and feel if we just sat in front of a piece of paper and try to somehow find that new way of living that we are craving so much. But the second tip is something that might feel more straightforward, and it's something that can't be missing in a minimalist ways of resetting your life videos, and it's declutter. I have been decluttering my life for over 7 years, and at that point there's not that much to declutter, so it's not a huge part of my life anymore. But I still think that there's so much value in getting rid of the things that don't add value to your life, getting rid of the things that distract you from the stuff that's really important, no matter if it's physical things, if it's digital files, if it's mindsets, habits, whatever, which these are a bit more complicated. But I think also just decluttering your physical space and getting rid of things that don't support the reset or the new life you want to live can be really helpful and powerful. And sometimes that might be hard as well, but I think it's absolutely worth it. Then number 3 is something I've been talking about recently on my podcast that is linked down below always, and also maybe in a YouTube video or 2, and it's do nothing. And that sounds underwhelming again, but I think it's just a great thing to do. And by do nothing, I mean, maybe you have to find something that works for you better than what I do. But for me, it's kind of closing my eyes, stop talking, and as much as possible, stop thinking. So I would focus on my breathing and just try to be absolutely present in that moment, catching my thoughts as they are trying to escape, and just trying to create this little moment of stillness, of space, like mental space, doing nothing. And I realized that just really helps me to focus again, to collect my thoughts and feelings, and to sometimes like really realize maybe what my problem is right now. Usually in situations where I'm maybe trying to work, but it doesn't really happen. So I'm distracting myself and I'm frustrated because I'm not as productive as I want to be, or I just have like a bad feeling and don't know where it's coming from. And it's something that just takes like 1 minute and can have such a huge impact. So it's, I think, great to reset your life, to have like a micro reset. Another thing that's like really, really helpful in a similar situation, when you feel stuck, when it's really hard to bring a certain order in your thoughts and feelings, when you're not sure where you're going or what the problem is or why you're not feeling the way or doing the things that you want to do, is writing everything down. And I also think that's like not a new tip, but it's something that I need to remind myself a lot of times, that it can just really, really help to let everything out. And it, for me, especially writing it down, so I don't have to share it with anyone. I don't have to care how like the sentence structure is, if I make sense at all. But writing it down allows me to sort my thoughts, to sometimes realize what I'm even thinking, to realize maybe where I'm not clear at all, and to realize things where I'm actually clear on, but maybe I have not allowed myself to realize these things. So it's just like journaling or stream of consciousness or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes prompts maybe help as well. I think it can help a lot to get stuff out and then like recollect yourself, see where you're standing, start with more knowledge about your situation, again, to where you're actually like wanting to go. And now the fifth thing might not fit into the category of minimalist ways to reset your life, in a sense that it's not something that can be done super easily or supports like a decluttered lifestyle per se, but I still want to include it because I think it's still just a very simple strategy that's very obvious and just makes a lot of sense. And that's working on something, being patient, and like a certain focus. So why am I saying this? I think when you want to reset your life, usually you're in a state of like frustration. You feel like maybe some things are not going the way you want them to go. You're unsure, things are unclear, you need to make decisions, you feel like you're not in control, you are overwhelmed by certain situations. And in that state, I think it makes sense to find something in your life where you can just keep working into a direction. Now, maybe that's not the thing that made you think you need to reset your life. Maybe it's not the thing you have a problem with currently, but sometimes we also crave resetting our life or like that kind of fresh energy when we're not actually having a problem. And so I think working on something, it can be really powerful, because over a certain time, if we put in effort and time, we can on one hand be proud of the effort we put in, and it is so much more likely that we see results if we are conscious about the effort we put into something. And on the other hand, if you're in a situation wanting to reset your life where you feel like overwhelmed, not knowing where, and out of like not feeling into control, I think this is a great way to have a certain focus and control over a certain area of your life. So it can be a hobby, it can be your job, it can be a friendship or your partnership or a skill. I think working on something, maybe even using your hands, putting in effort, and just feeling that there is progress, that you're getting better, it can really, really help to, without you realizing, without trying to like reset your life, the same thing can happen. You feel refreshed, you feel like you made progress, you gain more clarity, and maybe after putting in some work, problems resolve themselves, or you get clear on what your next steps of action need to be. And if you've just watched this video without kind of feeling like you need to reset your life, I think these are great things to do every single day, because they just promote a happy and content life in general. So I do hope you found some value in these tips. You might be doing some of these already, and let me know if you have additional things that can be really, really helpful to get that kind of fresh feeling to reset your life down below in the comments. Now, I do also want to link you a video right here that I think kind of fits into the same topic, so make sure to check it out. And thank you so much to all of my patrons, to all of the people who support me through super thanks, and to all of you who just spent all of this time watching this video until the end. Thank you so much, and goodbye.